First thing I'm going to do is make my t-shirt yarn. So I'm just cutting strips 3/8 of an inch, about a centimetre. And we want to cut small slits in both ends. So I'm just folding it over probably about 1/4 of an inch and just putting a small slit in the middle. We're going to do that for both ends. Alright, I think that's enough for now. You get the gist. So I'm just making small slits. If it rips, just cut it off and make another one. Like that one is just too big and it's too near the end. So I'm just going to cut that off and make myself another one. Take one of your strips and put it through the hole of the other strip, and then take the other end of the one you've just put through the hole and put that through its own hole and pull it tight. And what that will do is tie the two together. It's nice and tight. So we'll do that again. We're just creating a long string, and you're just going to keep going, joining all these strips. So pull it, keep pulling it, and it curls up, and then when you get to the end, just add your next piece. And as you go along, roll this up into your ball. I'm going to get myself several different colours of t-shirt string, and then I'll show you what I'm going to do with it. First thing I'm going to do is take the jean, and I'm just going to cut it at an angle to make it thin, just so it's easier to begin with. So this is a complete new technique for me. I'm not a crocheter by any means. In fact, I'm a very new beginner with crochet. So first of all, you need to make your slip knot. Now I prefer to do it with my hands. So just wrap your thread around 2 of your fingers and pop it up from behind and pull it through, and then I hook it onto my hook and pull it tight. It needs to be tight so that it doesn't come off. Now take your denim, so bring it over the denim, starting away from the tapered edge. Bring it over the denim and hook it up and pull it through the loop to give you your first stitch, and then just pull that tight to secure. Chain link 2 stitches, so 1, 2, and then go down in front of the denim, pick up your yarn, keeping your thread at the back, loop your thread and pull it through both loops, and then chain 2. Like I said, I'm probably making this look so awkward because I don't crochet, but I'm learning. Bring my needle down the front, grab my thread from behind, make sure the yarn is kept at the back, wrap it over and pull it through the 2 hoops, and then pull it tight, and then chain link 2. Now I'm just going to keep going until I've covered enough of the denim that I want before turning and coming back the opposite direction, and then do 1 chain stitch at the end. Okay, so I'm happy with that. Now I'm going to turn just like as if I was knitting and go back in the opposite direction. So I'm going to twist it around so that what I've done is on this side, and I'm going to keep the yarn at the back, bring this up and around. So I'm just twisting it because I want to keep it in the same direction around. So I've got the raw edges of the denim pointing down and it's folded in half, and I'm just bringing it on top. Do a stitch from behind. So let's chain 1. Because I want to go down underneath those stitches I've already done, grab my yarn and pull it back up, back through, and then do a stitch. I'm just going to keep going, doing the same thing. So chain 2 stitches, 1, 2, bringing it straight down through that gap there, from behind, grabbing my yarn and pulling it through. Then with my yarn from behind, bringing it around my needle and pulling it through the stitches, and then I'll just pull that tight to get it how I want. So to change over the denim, I'm going to twist it round because we sort of work from this way across, and I'm going to taper the end of the denim. I think I'm going to swap over my cord as well. So I'm going to leave the cord long so that I can sew that in afterwards. And I'm going to start off with a yellow cord. Now I'm probably going to be doing this wrong. Like I said, I'm a beginner, so there's going to be a way of swapping cords, much easier way. So I'm going to pick up that hoop and that hoop and just do a loop, pull that one through and that one out the way. We're going to start off with this one. I'm finding it easier to have the denim folded in half and the curved edge at the top, the raw edges at the bottom, and we're just going to carry on and continue along doing this colourway until I want to swap back to the black. I think I've got this as big as I want it for my project. 8 inches by approximately 7 inches. So I'm just going to cut off the thread and I'm going to pull it through the hoop and pull. So these ends here, I'm just going to tie into a knot. So I'm going to put this aside for now. 16 inches by 16 inches. Now I'm just going to go and top stitch along that. I have a zipper that measures 8 inches long and lining that is approximately 8 inches by 11. I'm going to swap out my feet for the zipper foot, which is a narrow single foot. Now I'm just going to fold it all down, top stitch that zipper down in place. I have a piece of lining that measures 2.5 inches wide by 8 inches long, and a piece of denim that is 3 3/4 wide by 8 inches long. Line up the lining on the back, and I'm just going to go and sew that in place. I've ironed that small piece down and I'm just going to clip it so that it doesn't go back down. Now I'm going to take the denim piece, fold it in half, right sides out, lay that up against the zipper, positioning it on the top. I'm just going to put a couple of pins in to hold all the way through. And now I'm going to top stitch that down. So now what I want to do is put the zipper pull in place. So I'm just going to baste down, across and up, just so that doesn't move when I put the bottoms and the sides on. And now I'm going to draw a line, a straight line straight across. I'm just going to sew this 1 centimetre, 3/8 of an inch, sew that into place. Now I'm just going to fold the lining back out of the way. Fold it over and top stitch that down. I'm going to trim it down to 2.5 inches from that folded edge. And I've trimmed the lining and the top piece. 6 inches by 12 inches, and there's 2 of them. I've got my right side facing down, and I'm lining up along this bottom edge here and straight up, keeping it all straight. So 3/8 of an inch down this side. And now I'm just going to go and top stitch down both of those. Right, what I need to do now is square this up. I'm just lining the zipper in a straight line. Know that that's square, and I'm going to cut this straight across here. So now I have one straight edge, and I know my zipper is also straight. And now I'm going to cut this edge I want it 16 inches straight across. I think I'm just going to trim these back a little bit as well first. Now I'm going to mark the centres from the sewn seams, and the same on the bottom. And I'm going to measure out 8 inches and draw a line, and the same this way. And that's where I'm going to cut it. It's 16 inches across and 11 3/4 down. Line the pocket. So I'm going to take this to the machine, and I'm just going to sew down there and down there. So I've sewn the lining on the sides. So I crocheted these buttons, and I think I want to attach them and make a flower just over this patch that I don't like here. So my aim is to do a flower there. So I'm just going to sew them together by hand and then attach it. I'm just going to tie this together and cut that off, and do the same with these ones. So I've doubled up my thread, so I've got a loop at the end. I'm just going to attach that to my flower, and I'm going to attach that one there. So I'm just going to sew it down and through as if I was sewing on a button. So what I want to do now is make these 5 more red petals. Take end of your thread and hold it between your finger and your thumb. Wrap it around 2 fingers, bring it under and round the 2 fingers again, and then hold it between the 2, but I pull it again through the 3 just for an extra secure. Now with your crochet hook, you've got an X on the front. With your crochet hook, you want to go under this first X, pick up the back one and pull it through. Twist it towards you and up. So you've created a twist. I don't know if you can see that. Now we need to pick up that same thread again. So this time we go under the thread, catch it on our hook and pull it through the last loop that we made, and that's secured that loop. And we're going to be crocheting into this loop that we've made here. So with your thread behind and your loop in front, we're going to, from underneath, bring your thread around your hook and pull it through. And we're going to do that twice. Around your hook from underneath and up and pull it through. Now we're going to start crocheting into this loop. So always have the thread behind and your hook in front. So we're going to bring the thread up and round the loop, take that, twist it and take that into the circle, grab your thread and pull it up. So now we have 3 loops on our hook. Hold everything in place and then loop your thread around your hook again. So now we have 4, and this last one that we've just hooked on, we're going to pull through all of these 3. So just twist your hook so you can grab out of that loop and pull it through all 3 of those loops. Now we're left with 1. Now we're just going to do the chain stitch, so we're just bringing it up and around and pull it through. Now we've created this loop here, so I'm just going to slide that along the circle, making sure that we don't lose this end piece, because if we pull this too hard, this end piece is going to pull through. Now we're going to do that again. Wrap around your hook, twist your hook down and into the loop, grab your thread from behind and pull it up. So we've got 3. Now they're all nice and loose, I'm not doing it really tight and squeaky. Wrap your thread around your hook, twist your hook to grab it and pull it through. And then we'll do a chain stitch, so we're just bringing it up and around and pulling it through. And then we'll just slide that along to meet the last one. So we want to do this 8 times. But now we've done it 10 times. So what I'm going to do is lay it down and I'm going to pull on this tail, and I'm holding my finger on this circle here because we're pulling that circle in tight. So I'm just making sure as I pull it, as you can see, this circle's getting smaller and tighter. So now I know where my end is. So with the front of the button facing you, let me just put that thread to the back, make sure it's out of the way. So with the front of the button facing you, you've got like a chain going around the edge. I'm just going to hook my hook into the back loop, the very first loop that we made on the top, the very first chain, but the back, there's a back and a front. I'm going to put it into the back one, and I'm going to bring my thread, holding it, bring my thread around and pulling that through both of those. And now we've just looped at the end to the front. Pull it out and cut your thread. Now this thread I'm going to bring up through the loop from behind and just pull that tight, and then pull the centre, and there I have one of the petals. Now I'm sure the crocheters out there will be cringing at me because it is far from perfect, and like I said, I'm a beginner. Created one of those, I need to do 4 more. I'm using Paltex Fusible. It's quite stiff. I should have ironed it before I added the flower, which is why I'm doing it now, before I add the rest of the detail to the front of the bag. So I'm going to iron these on. They're 1/2 inch smaller all the way around the edge than the main fabric itself. And we're going to iron them on the back. So just sew it on like a button. Doesn't matter if it's not neat because you're not going to see this on the back. I'm going to tie a knot in it now. So 2 inches from the edge of the fabric. I'm going to do that in both of the corners. Cut those out. We have 2 pieces of bag lining and they are 16 inches square. So I'm just cutting out the 2-inch corners from the lining to match what we did on the bag outers. And now we take one of the linings, mark your centres, and draw a line 2.5 inches down. Take your pocket lining. Now the pocket lining is 22 inches wide by 12 inches long. Find the centre of the pocket lining as well and line up the centres. 1 inch down from the centre I want to draw a 10-inch line by 1/2 inch wide rectangle. And we're going to go to the machine and sew all the way around the outer edge. We've sewn all the way around the rectangle. Now I'm going to mark the cutting line. So we want it right in the middle, which is 1/4 inch. And that's our cutting line. Cut along this line. Cut along the diagonal line right up to the corner without cutting the stitches. Now we need to press this down, press these seams down and then this one up, and we're going to pull it through the hole. Flip it over and pull it out all the way around. You want to get it as neat as possible on that stitched line and give it a good press. flip it over to the right side and press it again. So I have a piece of zipper tape that is 16 inches long. I'm just going to put the zipper pull onto the tape. You could use a regular 10-inch zip. I just like the tape because I find it easier. And I like to have my pull when it's closed, the left-hand side. Place your zipper tape underneath the rectangle and line it up. And when you're happy with the placements, pin it into place. You could also use double-sided tape or fabric glue if you're uncomfortable with just pinning. Now I'm just going to go and top stitch all the way around that zipper. I'm going to change over to my zipper foot, and what that does is allow you to sew right up to the zipper. The zipper's in place. Fold it over to the back. Fold your pocket up. This is a big pocket. It's probably going to be too big actually. So I'm just going to move it up and I'll cut that extra off. I've allowed about an inch gap. Because I made an error in the size, I'm just going to cut this off once I've sewn it. Pin the lining out of the way so that it doesn't get caught up in the sewing of the pocket. And we're just sewing the pocket all the way around that edge. I've sewn the pocket down and I'm just going to trim the zipper level with the edge of the pocket. Now we have a nice interior zipper pocket. And take your second piece of lining and lie them right sides together. And we're going to sew across here and up the side and across here and up that side, leaving this open. Now I'm going to sew the corners. So line up the centres and have your edges, raw edges even. From edge to edge of the fabric, measure 4 inches, and we're going to do the same for this corner. So lining up your raw edges, matching your centres. And drawing 4 inches. So now we're going to go and sew both of those two corners. I've sewn the two corners and we've left the hole. We're just going to put the lining aside for now. I've decided to change closure of my bag. I originally was just going to do a snap button, but I think I want to add a recessed zipper. So we're going to backtrack a little bit. Normally, when you add a recessed zipper, you add it to your lining. So you alter your lining before you sew it all together. So I'm just going to go, I still need to cut this extra bit piece off here. So I'm just folding it back for now. So what I need to do is work out the size I need for this recessed zipper and cut off 1.5 inches from the liner. I've cut out the extra pieces that I need for the recessed zipper. I've got the replacement lining pieces that are 2¼ inches wide by 16 inches long, and there's 2 of those. The other lining pieces are 2½ inches by 10¾ The main fabric again is 2½ inches by 10¾ I have a 14-inch zipper, and I have a zipper tab that is 3 inches by 2 inches. The first thing I'm going to do is work on the zipper tab. So the 2 short edges are folded under 1/4 inch, and now I've folded it right sides together. Just go and sew 3/8 inch seam allowance down both of those. Now what we need to do is deal with the top. So opening my zipper, and we need to bend the zipper over. I'm just going to put a pin in there to hold it in place. We're going to do exactly the same to the other side. So try and get them level. It's not always going to be perfect, but just do the best that you can, trying to make those even. I'm just going to take these over to my machine, and I'm just going to tack these in place. I've fused all the short edges on all 4 pieces. These are all the wrong sides, so the side edges are on the wrong sides. So now we need to flip it over to the right side of your fabric. Add the tape to the right side, and I know this looks weird, but it will all fall into place very shortly. So I'm adding the tape to one of the long edges on the right side of my fabric. So I'm going to flip all these over just to remind me. Now I have the right sides facing up. I'm going to flip this over to press it down because I don't want to press on the plastic of the tape protector. So now I've stuck that down on the right side. Now what I want to do is flip it over to the wrong side, fold over that edge, and I just want to press a nice clean crisp press. So it's folded under right now, the tape is still on, and I'm just making a nice neat crisp fold line with my iron. As you can see, the tape is the cover, the plastic tape is still on, and I've got it on the right side of my fabric, and it's folded back to the wrong side. And we're just going to repeat that to all of the remainder 3 pieces. Now I've put the tape on all of the pieces and pressed them over to the wrong side. Now we're going to add them to our zipper. So I'm going to take the outside fabric, I'm going to line it up to my zipper tape. I want to leave a gap so that the zipper pull is wider than the tape. Remove the paper and line it up onto my zipper tape and press it down. Now at this point it's completely removable. I've overhanged it about 1/2 inch from the bend. I can see the zipper pull is running nicely up that edge. So I'm going to take the second half of the outside, remove the tape and line that up, keeping the bottoms and the tops level. And when I'm happy with the positioning, I'm going to press it down with the iron on both sides. At this point I'm actually going to open the zipper and move that completely out the way and flip the whole unit over. And now I'm going to attach the lining pieces in exactly the same way. So remove the tape and with the right side of the fabric facing up, line these outside edges. So I'm going to line it with the top and the sides and run it, match the edges at the bottom. I'm going to do the same with the other half. I'm just going to remove my tape and line it all up with the fabric underneath, enclosing the zipper as I go. Making sure I've got plenty of room for the zipper to move up and down. I'm going to flip it back and see if the zipper works first, and I'm happy with that. So I'm just going to press it down. I'm going to treat each side as a separate rectangle. And I'm going to go and top stitch all the way around the rectangle, keeping them both separate so that the zipper can move in and out. I'm going to change it over to this foot. This is a stitch in the ditch foot. It's got a guide in the bottom. I'm going to use this foot to help me with the top stitching. You can use any foot. I just prefer this one for top stitching, and the needle is in line with that metal edge. So I'm going to move my needle right over to the left, as far over to the left as it will go, and I'm going to make my stitch 3.2, and I'm literally just running the edge of the fabric along that metal edge, and I'm just top stitching all the way around, and this is giving me 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. As I get to the corner, I'm just going to pivot. Go nice and steady over the zipper, running my fabric up against that guide. Finishing off. And now I've neatly top stitched that in place. We're going to do that again. For the second piece, to add the zipper closure into the lining, we just need to open up the side seams. So I'm just going to open it up probably just about 6 inches or so, just to give me room to work. Like I said, you would do this type of closure before you sewed your lining together, but I changed my mind, which is me all over. I've marked all my centres. Take your bag lining, and with the right side facing, take your zipper enclosure and also have the right side facing. So you've got the lining right side facing up and the zipper enclosure right side facing up. Now take the extra pieces that we cut, and with the right side facing down, mine doesn't have a right side or a wrong side, but if yours does, make sure your right side is facing down. What you will have is your two lining fabrics, the right sides are facing each other, and then the zipper enclosure is facing upwards. So clip it all together, and we're going to go and sew that 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. And now we're going to repeat exactly the same to the other side. So flip your lining over so you've got your right side facing up, the right side of your zipper enclosure facing up, and then the right side of your additional lining piece, right side's facing down, and clip all that into place. Go and sew that seam. I'm just going to press this seam open and just press it down on the front. And now I'm going to fold the lining together, and we're just going to sew up the side seams. And normally you wouldn't have your lining sewn together, like I said before, and you would now be joining your lining, but because we already did that, we're just sewing back up the seams. Tuck your zipper piece in so you don't catch it in your seam. And I'm just going to re-sew the seam that we unpicked to do our adjustment. I'm just going to press these seams open again. For the straps, the handles, I've got 2 pieces of outer fabric, which is 3 inches deep, and these measured at 28 inches long. I have 2 pieces of the lining fabric for the contrast, and those are 2.5 inches wide by 28 inches long. And then I have 2 pieces of fusible medium weight interfacing, and this is 1.25 inches wide by 28 inches long. I'm going to start off with the lining fabric. I'm aiming to iron the interfacing, just eyeballing it down the middle. Press the interface into the wrong side of your fabric, and I'm just folding in the edge against the interfacing. This is the wrong side of the fabric. Mark the centre line, and then I'm just going to fold in and press to that centre line, just leaving a small gap in the middle. And now with the wrong side facing up and the wrong side facing down, there should be a fraction, about 1/8 of an inch overhang. I'm just going to clip it into place, and we're just going to repeat the same for the second strap. I'm going to take it over now and just top stitch down both sides. So I'm putting my strap on the outside edge of the mark, and I want the red side facing out. So whatever side you want facing outwards, have it right sides together. And now I'm just going to go and stitch straps down. Now we're just going to go and sew along those 3 seams. Holding the bag all together as I sew, because it wants to move. I think I'm going to do the other side before I do the bottom. I'm just holding the bag up so it's sort of level and not hanging down over the edge. And then I'm going to do the bottom edge just in the same way. Now I need to do the corners. I'm just going to fold them in and match the centres. Do the same this side. Fold them in, match the centres. I'm going to draw a 4-inch line. Drawn a 4-inch line on both of those corners. And I'm just going to go and stitch those down. Now we need to take our line in, right sides out. Make sure we've got our opening at the bottom. That might be a struggle, but we'll see. Want my pocket at the back, so pop in your line in. Matching your side seams. Don't forget to push your handles down and in, out the way. and we're just going to go and stitch all the way around. I've moved my needle right over to the left, and that will give me on this machine a 1/2 inch seam allowance. And I'm just going to sew nice and gently. I'm going to unpick this seam a bit more, and we'll just sew it all up afterwards, this whole bottom seam. Now I'm going to turn the bag through that whole bottom piece, which should be a lot easier. And flip your bag out. This is always exciting, birthing the bag, but it can be a struggle, especially if you've got a stiff bag. Tuck out your corners. Sew up the bottom of the bag. Now I'm going to push all that down inside. And with the tops here, I'm going to try and give that a good press. I'm pulling the lining into the bag and then pressing that seam down. Pull it and clip it down. And now I'm going to go and top stitch all the way around the outside of that bag. I've taken the arm off my machine, and I'm going to use my ditch foot. Move my needle over and put my stitch length right up. I've got it up at 3.4, and I'm going to top stitch this the best I can. It is going to get thick in places, and I don't know how my machine is going to handle it, so we'll see as we go along. So I'm just going to hand crank that.